It is a truth universally acknowledged that a single man in possession of a good fortune must be in want of a wife. Fitzwilliam Darcy's good friend Charles Bingley had rented Netherfield Park, and Darcy was a frequent visitor. This had brought them into contact with the nearby Bennet family, and in particular their two eldest daughters, Jane and Elizabeth. A series of misunderstandings and interference kept lovers Jane and Bingley apart for some time, but they are now engaged to be married, to the general joy of all. The path for Darcy was more troubled. He was attracted to Elizabeth almost from their first meetings, and really believed that were it not for the inferiority of her connections, he would be in some danger. So he sought to distance himself from her. Darcy's coolness and reserve made it easier for others to spread untruths about him, and this, and his bungled proposal, served to turn Elizabeth away. But Darcy found Elizabeth uncommonly intelligent and handsome, and he had never been so bewitched by a woman as he was by her. Darcy's aunt, Lady Katherine de Bourgh, sensing his growing affection for Elizabeth, sought to warn Elizabeth off him, but succeeded only in giving Darcy hope. The wearing of wigs, which had dominated the 18th century, was at last on the wane. By the 1790s, young men like Darcy preferred their own hair, and a tax on wig powder in 1794, to raise funds for the wars in France, finally finished off fashionable wig wearing. Being clean-shaven, however, remained popular. The banyan, an informal men's coat somewhere between a dressing gown and a housecoat, provided one of the few opportunities for the wearing of fine, colourful silks, as the fashion was now for wool and natural colours. It could be worn over the nightshirt or over breeches and waistcoat as informal morning wear. Stockings were pulled up over the knee and kept in place by the breeches. The nightshirt was cut much the same as the shirt, though it fell to near the ankle and was not divided into tails. The shirt fell to just above the knee and had tails. The vogue for shirt frills at the neck and wrist was fading, but the shirt retained the traditional cut. The cuffs were closed by means of linked cuff buttons. Breeches were still the fashion. Linen underdrawers were occasionally worn, but the long shirt tails also served the same purpose. Riding breeches could be made from wool or from buckskin. They had a narrow, full front opening, side pockets, and a watch pocket in the waistband, but the cut was more fitted than hitherto. Day breeches were now cut well below the knee and onto the calf, so that the breeches could tuck into the boots, and the knee-band buckles had been replaced with ribbon laces. The cravat was now the fashionable necktie, replacing the stock, which buckled closed at the back of the neck, and the neckcloth which tied in a loose bow. The cravat was a square of muslin cotton, folded several times on the cross, softly or firmly starched, wrapped around the neck, and finished with a variety of styles of knot. The waistcoat was cut, almost waist level, and straight across, but covered the top button of the breeches waistband. It could be single or double-breasted, and usually had streamlined welt pockets rather than pocket flaps. It buttoned high on the chest and had a tall standing collar. Boots were worn for most outdoor activities, from walking to riding. Top boots were usually made from black leather, with the top folded down to reveal the contrasting leather lining. Little jewellery was worn, but the watch chain, which would drape outside the watch pocket itself, could be very decorative and sometimes included a seal. Riding coats were made from woolen cloth so well fulled as to be nearly waterproof, and the seams, edges and hems could be cut and left raw without fear of disintegration. They could be styled with a cutaway front, revealing the waistcoat, and with most of the buttons and buttonholes purely decorative. The collar was high-standing. Large, flat disc buttons were fashionable, including the so-called death head buttons, which were created by weaving silk thread over a wooden button base, as with Darcy's coat, but also metal buttons, including cut steel buttons. The tricorn and bicorn hats were now being replaced by a round hat with a tall tapering crown and a wide curving brim, which was the forerunner of the top hat. Darcy's hat is made from luxurious long hair fur felt, which could be brushed and swept into a glossy shine.
I simply must have some time alone with her, away from...
the mother.
Thank you.
I'm sure if we use our imaginations, we can win you some time with your precious dear Jane.
We? Since when are you coming with me? Darcy.
Come, Lizzie, be not so coy. Lady Katherine must have said something of note.
Lady Katherine de Bourgh?
Mamma, I can assure you, I have told you all.
Oh, Lizzie, I don't believe that for a moment.
Yes, come now, Lizzie. Tell us properly what she was like. Was she all high and mighty?
Oh, Mr. Bingley. My hair.
And there's a gentleman with him. Who can it be?
I'm sure I do not know.
It looks just like that man that was with him before. You know, what's his name? The very tall, proud man.
Oh, good gracious, Mr. Darcy. Oh, so it is, I vow. Well, any friend of Mr. Bingley's will always be welcome here, to be sure. Else I must say, I hate the very sight of him. Enter.
Mr. Bingley and Mr. Darcy, Mum.
Mr. Bingley.
Good day.
And Mr. Darcy.
Well, we thought we might trespass upon your morning to suggest a walk in the country.
Oh, Mr. Bingley. You and Jane may be engaged, but it would not be becoming for you to venture out unchaperoned.
Of course, which is why we thought we all might go.
Oh!
And by that I mean, of course, myself, Jane, Mr. Darcy, and dear Lizzie.
Well, I suppose that would be most agreeable.
Can I go too?
Oh, of course, my dear. Some fresh air will put those roses in your cheeks. Ah.
Aren't we going to talk about anything?
What would you like to talk about?
Well, this is a very boring walk.
I'm going to call on Mariah. See you home. Kitty, see you later! Mr. Darcy, I must thank you for your unexampled kindness towards my sister Lydia. My family are much indebted to you.
If you will thank me, let it be for yourself alone. My family owe me nothing. As much as I respect them, I thought only of you. If your feelings remain unaltered, tell me at once. My affections and wishes are unchanged. one word from you will silence me on this subject forever.
I must say, my feelings have undergone a remarkable alteration since last we spoke on the subject.